Hi, it's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and today I thought I'd bring you a new CRAP video. This is CRAP video number 24, and what CRAP stands for is Creative, Relaxation, and Play. This is where I experiment with a new product or a new technique, and I might get something awesome, or I might get something that's just a piece of crap. So what I'm playing with today is something I bought the other day at my local art store. It's a kit. It cost about $20 and it's by TriArt and it's called Liquid Glass Pouring Set. Now you know that right now it's all the rage to do various acrylic pouring pieces where you mix acrylic paint with pouring medium and other compounds to create really cool designs. So this company has come out with a kit to do this, but the variation on this idea is the fact that when this dries, it dries very shiny and it looks like glass. Now what the kit comes with are about 6 colors of paint in these little bottles, and these are liquid acrylics, and it comes with a bottle of pouring medium. Now, of course, you can buy acrylic paints separately and pouring medium separately, so this just puts everything into a neat little kit to play with for those people who may not want to invest a lot of money in these products separately. So I'm going to try this. The one thing I suspect is that I will not get something that are called cells. And if you've seen some of my other acrylic pouring videos, you know that those cells are created by mixing different products like silicone or Floetrol in with your paints to get it to sort of spread out and give you a cellular effect. This, because it's only pouring medium and paint, I don't think that's going to happen. So I have an 8x8 substrate. It's a canvas board, and that's where I'm going to pour the paint on. I have already mixed up my paints with the pouring medium in these little mixing cups, which also came with the kit. However, in the instructions, it didn't say how much pouring medium to paint you should mix together. So I just sort of eyeballed it and used a general rule that I have seen used in other places for pouring of about 10% paint to 90% pouring medium. And I'm just eyeballing it and guessing those proportions. So I mixed them up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my substrate right here, which I've placed on a drip tray, just an old plastic serving tray to catch the runoff. Excuse me. And I'm just going to pour all over it. And we'll see what happens. Now this does take 24 hours to dry, it says in the instructions. So I will have to come back to it once it's dry to see the effect. So I'm just going to start with, maybe I'll start with the blue. And we're just making basically an abstract design. I'm giving it a little bit of a stir up here. Remember, this is my paint mixed with the pouring medium. And I'm just going to let it do its thing. Now what's a little different too about this method is if I was doing the regular acrylic pouring, I would probably do something called a dirty pour, where I'd mix all of my paints in layers in one jar or one cup and then pour it. But in this case, I'm not doing that. I'm doing each color separately. So now let's try the red. Give it a bit of a stir. Now I'll say that this is a little thicker. So the paint that comes with this kit seems to be a glossier paint, and it seems to be a little thicker than what fluid acrylic paints usually are. And there's a certain level of transparency here, which I don't know if that will be maintained when this dries. And now we have the yellow. Now this is thicker as well than doing the conventional acrylic paint and pouring medium method. This is the white. Okay, so I've poured all those colors and you can see that they are mingling together. I don't know if I can get any movement with this. I'm going to do a bit of a tilt. Again, this is something you would do with traditional acrylic pouring. And I'm going to try to keep it on the board without going over the edges as much as possible. With acrylic pouring, you will go right over the edges, especially if it's a canvas. It did say that this should be used with a fairly rigid substrate as opposed to just a canvas on a frame. If you do use it on a canvas with a frame, it said it should have extra support. And I guess that's because this stuff is kind of on the heavy side. I'm actually trying to get it to fill in those three bare spots of canvas. Now I did see on a video where they took a palette knife and just kind of moved it around. So I'm going to try to fill in those spaces. And I'm assuming this will sort of level itself out as well. Okay, so I've got sort of a multicolor effect here. I don't know if it will spread out and strip over the edges or this will be it. Now the other thing that I did see as well the other day was doing a pouring using string gel. String gel is very, very thick, and as it says, it's got this kind of consistency to pour out strings. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the darker colors, maybe the black, and I'm going to mix up a little of that with the string gel, and I'm just going to go around over top of this to give sort of a more dimension to this piece. So I'm going to pause the video here to mix this up, and I'll be back. So I've mixed my string gel with the black acrylic paint that came in the kit, and now I'm just going to pour it. You can see it comes out very slow. I'm going to do it from fair height because I want it very stringy, as you can see. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that. It's kind of interesting. We'll see what it's like once it dries. Now I'm thinking, should I experiment some more? And I'm thinking, should I add a little glitter to this? I'm not sure about that. Maybe just some really fine glitter into it. Okay, I'll be back. So I have this very fine, they call it fairy dust glitter, which is a clear, it says on here. So it comes in this neat little shaker, like a salt and pepper shaker kind of bottle. So I'm just going to sprinkle a light amount over top of this. And that's it. We're just going to leave that. So I'm going to let this have 24 hours to dry, as it says in the instructions, and we'll come back and take a look at it, the final product then. Just as a little side note, I don't want to waste what I have left of this string gel mixed with the black, so I got out my background technique book where I keep records of all the different types of backgrounds I try, and I'm just going to pour it on one of these pages and let it dry. If I get it out. Actually, I'll just muck it about. So I'm not really using the string effect here. I'm just playing with it with a palette knife. But it might make an interesting background technique. Can draw in it. So we'll just leave that to dry, and that might be something for a future project. So it's been 24 hours and this is now dry, and you can see that you don't get any cells, which I pretty much figured at the very beginning. It is very shiny. It's like a glassy surface, and that's what it was called, liquid glass. I do have an air bubble in there, I just noticed, so you have to be careful when you pour it if you don't want air bubbles. It is somewhat transparent through the layers, and it is kind of a neat effect, and the string gel on top added a little bit more to it. This might make a very interesting background for a mixed media piece. As far as using this as a piece of art, well, you'd have to manipulate the medium a little bit more, I think, to get it the way you want. This, of course, I just poured it, let it do its own thing. It did drip over the edges, as you can see here, and I just took a pair of scissors and cut off the drip parts that were overhanging. I don't know if it's really worth the bother. Myself, I think I prefer the standard way of doing an acrylic pour, but this does have a very interesting finish to it, and I think it might work well on tiles, things like that as well. So anyways, is this crap or is this awesome? I don't think it's terribly awesome, but I also don't think it's crap. It has its place. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for future crap videos.